You and I can heal the past. And together, we can build a new world.
Welcome to Team Avatar.
Guys, welcome to Enthusiasm. This is the Animated Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Dave Roman. As some of you may know, I used to work at Nickelodeon, where I helped the creators of the Avatar: The Last Airbender TV show make comics. Some of those appeared in Nickelodeon magazine. Some of those appeared as these little mini comics that were packaged in DVDs. Guys, remember DVDs? Physical media. Guys, hold on to those
good
DVDs.
times.
Physical media, shout out. Hold on to those DVDs.
Keep on to like physical media now.
Yes,
So you own something. So you own something.
Physical forever.
Someday.
Everything is
So you
like
own it.
TikTok.
Everything's going to be removed off.
Or streaming, and then you don't own it. So hang on to those.
Yes.
But outside of the Nickelodeon payroll ecosphere, I was also just a huge fan of the show. And I got to meet so many creative artists, cosplayers, puppet builders, and just friendly people in general in the fandom. And 18 years after the finale of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I've assembled my own team of OG Avatar fans, the OG Team Avatar. Or as Kim recently said, the Lion Turtles of the Avatar fandom.
I think it was Aangthony that said that.
No, Anthony
That was me.
Or something.
That
Or Collin.
was me.
No,
I
it was
said Lion
Nadar. It was Nadar. You're right.
Yeah, sorry, Nadar. And we're here to talk about the Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender movie. We're like, wow.
Oh my God.
It's a 2D animated film directed by Lauren Montgomery, who worked on the show. So that's super exciting. But first, let's get some quick introductions from our amazing friends here. Tell us a little something about yourself. And also, if you don't mind, maybe what element you gravitate towards. And is there a fandom or something that you've become really enthusiastic about outside of Avatar? Like since Avatar ended, what's been keeping you super excited? Like for me, it's been Hades Town, the musical. I've seen it 5 times. I'm kind of obsessed.
I've heard good things about it.
It's really great. And there's a pro shot that you can see in theaters now. I actually saw Hades Town and then I saw Avatar, so it's really exciting.
Nice.
Let's start with Kim. Kim, you weren't here last time and the last time we got together. So tell the world a little bit about yourself and your work.
I don't think I was actually here last time.
No,
This
you
is
weren't.
Baby's
No,
first.
no, we did a
okay.
podcast just for prep.
okay.
There's an older episode that we recorded about the Netflix series. That we
Nadla.
scrambled to put together very, very quickly. Anthony was there, Nadar was there, and Kevin Copa, who does the Puppet Benders, was there.
Gotcha.
And then I realized afterwards, I should have got Kim, I should have got Collin. There's so many more people we could invite.
There's 9 bajillion
It's always
of us
gonna
on that.
improve. It's always gonna improve. Don't worry.
Yeah, the future episodes with other
For
friends.
sure.
But hi guys, I'm Kim, also known as Isiah. A long time ago, in the distant past, I was probably 17 or 18 when Avatar first aired.
Wow.
So, and I started making. I was fairly isolated, like really socially awkward, but I was making Avatar fan art, and then before I knew it, I was connecting with like friends. And I got to have some of my closest relationships develop from there. I worked on one of the Nickelodeon magazine puzzle illustrations. And I was still a baby. I was still, me in small town Texas. And so I was still trying to like navigate all these spaces. And I will say that if it weren't for Avatar, I wouldn't have made all these connections and friendships and deeply close relationships. And I was on, I think this is one of like my worst memories ever, but like I was on the season 3 book 3 Fire for the DVDs. And I did a little interview with Avatar Mom, who's another good Avatar friend of mine. And I was just so nervous. I was just like, oh, and it was, I do remember both, despite the good and bad times, Avatar fandom has been one of my like fondest memories. And I just remember all y'all from there. Pepperidge Farm remembers, and that includes both good and bad. But yeah, it was very influential on my work. I'm a comic book illustrator. I own a small art sticker business now. every time I have my Avatar fan art on there, people are just like, you know what? Thank you for including Avatar because that show is goated. It's so important to me. And I'm like, yes, thank you for being another Avatar enjoyer. So that's my fandom experience. That's my, influence on my work. So, and other things too, like Asian culture and Asian like activism in like the real world, I think has also Avatar's helped me with that. I know we should start from that from the beginning, but the cartoon helped and it did a lot of good things too for that. So as much nitpicking as I have over it's so different now. It's still I still respect my dad's Mike and Brian, even though I do like complain about things. So that's what I gotta say. And it's
Are
good
they
to
daddies?
see everyone again.
Is that how the fandom refers to?
They just call them Avatar dads. It's just like you have stuff
That's
to
fair.
say about your dad, but you also love your dads. It's just like that. But they were really kind to me and they were just very gentle when I was so nervous about the interview. And I just remember them being like mentoring me with like graphic novel advice. So it was just really kind. So as much well actuallying I tend to do with like as a nerd, it still brings me joy. It brings me the entire spectrum of human emotion when I engage with Avatar: The Last Airbender and the other stories that come after. So
that's great.
there's that. But
I
yeah,
forgot
thank you.
about that documentary, and I just have a image of like you and Avatar mom like walking through a park or something. Like that's my memory.
Don't
of
look
that
at me. I'm
documentary.
kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, there's like, oh, there's B-roll footage.
The B-roll footage.
And I think you were the first Avatar fan comic
Mhm.
artist I ever discovered. Like the first
Oh my
person
God.
to do like narrative stuff. Like that was like my memory of you or my first discovery of your work.
I was so
Collin,
Avatar
I'm going to
pilled.
segue to Collin because Collin wasn't here last time either. Collin was the first podcast I was ever on. Collin asked me to be
Ooh.
on his amazing long running podcast, Avatar Portal. Do you remember how many episodes you guys did?
It's honestly some of them unfortunately were lost to the transition from iWeb.
Ooh.
Old people will also remember iWeb as Apple's like website like publishing software that they had, and when that transitioned or got phased out, we like lost some of like the publishing of it. I've got old files
Aw.
and stuff, but yeah, we had a good run. So, but yeah, I'm Colin. I was known as for the win because I was a teenager and thought that was so cool when I was discovering Avatar. I found basically I didn't have anybody I knew in real life that liked Avatar, so I went to the internet and I found the Avatar portal, which was the forum that I found a bunch of friends with, and we had seen some people kind of doing discussions and seen like one other podcast that had started, and a group of us got together and we're like, you know what, we should record our own, we should do it, and we got connected with Skype, and I figured
Skype. Do
out.
y'all remember Skype?
Yes.
Yes. Good times.
Yeah, that's old
Taught
school right there.
The old
yeah,
school right
Yeah.
there.
taught myself audio editing to figure out how to do that and like publishing and all of that, and it's just became something that was really fun, and then eventually got to go to New York Comic Con with one of my other co-hosts. That
Oh
was
my God.
where I met Dave. We went for the 2008 panel that Mike and Brian did, where it was the preview of the second half of book 3, and that was when they released like the trailer that had started with Aang and Zuko and like firebending together, and I remember so much of that energy in the room, the passion from everyone, and that's just something that not only from there but across like my time as a fan, the just enthusiasm that people have for the show and the deep meaning that it has provided for so many people, myself included. And I learned a lot of things, and I am super grateful for that experience. Got to meet Dave and so many other like wonderful people. I went out to Anime Central in Chicago and met Nadar out there, who is cosplaying as White Lotus Jong with a huge White
Oh
Lotus
my God.
flag. And it was just like there were so many cosplayers, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Look at all these people. And
Mhm.
just being able to kind of see that like love and engagement has been great. And after Korra like finished and everything that happened there, I was desperately needing like that kind of same energy. And David mentioned other shows that kind of like have filled that that need. And She-Ra, Princess of Power,
Ooh.
Voltron, also done by Studio Mir, and then more recently My Adventures with Superman, which has a lot of
I've
that
heard good
same
things about
kind
that
of
too.
very
Mhm.
positive, great messages, great characters, and a lot of heart, which I think that's what makes also Avatar Avatar, and why I always keep coming back to it. Now I'm so pumped we have a movie and we have a show coming out like all within the next couple months. This is crazy.
It's a
Mhm.
lot. Well, speaking of the energy in the room and the panels, like some of my best memories were sitting in those rooms, like watching those panels when they would show the clips and being with the audience. But our friend here, ATallEarthBender, Nadar, dude just got back from San Diego running the Avatar fan legacy panel, which was amazing. How
Love to do both separately.
Yeah.
Unlike Toronto.
Always done. Ah!
Listen, man.
Woohoo! Oh yeah, baby.
how does it feel to have that like now off your back? I'm sure a lot of planning went into that.
Yeah, that was my very first Avatar: The Last Airbender panel done by me along with my co-host Kimberly. She's been asking about it for a few years, and I got to tell you guys the journey from back then to the present was a little lonely because
Aw.
everybody was like falling off and going their own directions, but it never left me. And it's not that I was forcing myself to continue to follow this fandom. It's just never the love. And I know everybody, different journeys, different responsibilities. People got married and children
Have kids, yeah.
yeah.
Jobs.
So but I was there and I tried to keep the torch lit and everything. So then I met the young lady Kim, and then we started that podcast a couple of years, some years back. And then she kept on saying, I want to see us with our own fan panel at San Diego. So I'm like, yeah, right. We'll never get to San Diego Comic-Con. We'll never fill those shoes. But then as we progressed, we was having authors. We had Dave on the show. The name of the podcast is Avatar Origins, Tales from the Fan Base. And like I said, we had authors, and the more I went to San Diego Comic-Con, the more people I met. So then she was like, well, I'm going to submit this year. And she submitted, and they approved us. It just so happened that this was a very, very important week for Avatar. I didn't know they was going to wrap the building with the movie, Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. So they put it on some type of apartment.
Yeah, it was a
skyscraper
hotel. It
building.
was like one of the major Comic-Con hotels, the entire
Yes.
building.
Okay, that was a hotel.
Ocean
And when
floor.
you enter Comic-Con, I don't think they had this when we first started, but everybody that comes in and out of that building, you have to swipe your badge.
That's
So
that's
on the badge swiping mechanisms, they wrapped Avatar in there. So when I got to Comic-Con last week, and I said, well, let me go look at the room, because I knew that the room seats 1,000. And I thought that was kind of weird because when we first started with Avatar Mom, how many seats did we have, y'all? Like 200, 300.
Just smaller.
1,000.
Small. I mean, my head, what was that hotel where my head was on the ceiling, like the ceiling was this long?
I mean, you are tall, so.
Right. A tall earthbender, right. I'm 6'6". I entered the room, and it's one of the ballrooms, and it had two big screens. It had a fleet of tech people. It had the security guard said, we went to that security guard. Are you going? Did you hear about the Avatar panel tomorrow or whatever? They said, yeah, we're going to double security on that day. I'm like, so that everybody's getting nervous. I'm a little bit more. I'm more confident, I think, because I got theater background, so I'm used to being up in front of a crowd. When I tell you, this thing was very overwhelming for me. Like we ended up getting the voice of Iroh like the day before. He came on our panel. Greg Baldwin, wonderful guy. We got
he's great.
Everybody remembers Sifu Manny, now Si Gung Manny, and his son Joshua. They was up there, and that house was packed, and it was an extraordinary panel. Nickelodeon came in there. And there's some representatives from Nickelodeon. They was taking pictures and asking questions and things of that sort. So I get it. If you have a room full of people and you're talking about their brand, They want to make sure that we're representing their brand well.
I mean, they never did it before. Like, how many panels did we do where like no one from Nickelodeon even like?
Right. So it was interesting
big deal.
It was interesting being behind stage, coming on, being introduced on that stage with the eyeball in the background and all that stuff. But the way I got it, really quick, in 2 minutes, the way I got into Avatar: The Last Airbender, my sister introduced me to it. May she rest in peace.
I remember your sister.
She introduced me, and I'm gonna tell you, I cried, y'all, when I was in the green room before we went to on stage to the panel, because I was like, if my sister could see this today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she always wanted to see Avatar back in Hall H, because Mike and Brian and them had a panel in Hall H. And then the movie premiered on Friday in Ballroom 20. So that's the closest thing I can get to seeing it on a big screen, was Ballroom 20. But I used to go over my sister a lot, 20-something years ago, in the middle of book 1. And my younger sister and my older sister, they just kept watching it. I'm like, what is this crap? I said, again with the bald head kid with the arrow? What are y'all doing? Why y'all
What
watching?
is this? Is this anime?
Oh my God. My sister was like, oh my God. I said, y'all too damn old. Excuse my language. Y'all too damn old to be watching a cartoon. And so I would always go over there. I couldn't change the channel. So I would go over there and eat. But then I started asking questions. I was like, pause it. Why is it that you got all these groups of people that's shooting all this stuff, all these elements out of their body parts, but there's only one airbender? My sister, it's the last airbender. I said, well, why is he the last airbender? Where's his people? They were killed. I'm like, what? They were what?
Yeah.
She's like, they was killed by the Fire Nation. I said, well, why'd they do that? That's genocide, y'all. So that, I will never forget that. In that moment, I asked her to put on another episode. And then another, and then another. And I know me, when I started asking questions, I'm very interested. So I was just getting pulled in, I was getting reeled in. And by the time that season ends, she was telling me about Comic-Con. I was like, as in comic books? I'm not going to that. Ain't nothing but a bunch of nerds up there. I'm not doing that. And she was like, no, you don't understand. These people that dress up. Well, I'm thinking she's talking about kids. Because when I hear the word comic book, I'm thinking about children. So then I finally made up my mind. Back then, the tickets were $70. And you could walk right in and pay for it.
Back in the day.
Right. So I see all y'all. I saw.
Just
Janet.
wait. Just cut to record scratch. Cut to Nadar sleeping on the sidewalk outside of the Comic-Con building.
To be early in line, right?
Waiting in line.
Are we talking about when Mike and Brian showed up? Or are we talking about?
Oh, he's like, which time?
I've done it a lot. I used to crack jokes about those guys, and then I started doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Now you are the nerd.
I mean, everybody would do
You're
like
the
donut
nerd
runs,
now.
coffee runs. It was a fun night.
Yeah.
It's always fun to spend the night because you meet a lot of fabulous people while you're in those lines, and you generate like a lot of friends. And it was all because of our little Arrowhead. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of Arrowhead, Aangthony, aka Anthony.
Hello.
You were like for me, like the heart of the Avatar fandom. Like,
Oh
for some
no,
reason,
stop.
You are, man. You was there. You was
like
there.
when you think of
you
like
are.
when you think of Avatar Aang, like you think of like, just sort of that fun spirit that you just like, that it's just fun to hang out with Aang. Like that's how I always felt about Anthony. Like Anthony, like anytime Anthony showed up at any con, like everybody was happy to see him. It was always like a great
How old were you during that time? Like the first con, the second con? How
A
old were you?
baby.
Yeah. We were all babies. I was starting pharmacy school, so that was oh wow. That was so long ago. That was 14 years ago? No.
Longer.
Way longer.
It's 21 years ago.
Yeah.
21, I think.
Okay. Early onset dementia is real. Let me tell you.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, hi, I'm Anthony or Aangthony. It's hard to go after all these great stories. Hearing everyone just introduce themselves, it brought back a lot of memories. A lot of cool names were mentioned. Avatar Mom, Kevin. I mean, just a lot of great people. And I think that's what really amazes me about our fandom is that we have such a dedicated group of people who are just so wholesome, so creative, so talented, so welcoming, so friendly. And I mean, yeah, 2006, 7, 8, and 9 of going to Comic Con, both San Diego and New York, were just awesome memories. So
Hmm.
I'm really honored to be here. Thank you, Dave, for all the compliments. I don't deserve all of that, but
Yes, you do.
no. But yeah, I'm just very happy to be here. Very excited to discuss this new film that we
Mm.
were blessed with. So
Yeah.
You may be the last airbender, but you're not alone.
Guys, so first, like, bird's eye view, what was your first reaction to like seeing this movie? I mean, like straight out the gate. I mean, I will tell you, for me, I just love seeing 2D animation, and seeing 2D animation at that level is just, I will never not. I mean, I go see every anime movie I can possibly see. Um, I was very lucky I got to see it in the movie theater. I know that's
oh
not
man.
rare.
Oh, that's
Not the
Nadar, you
movie
got to
theater
see it in a
privilege.
big, you got to see it with the audience though. You got to see it
that's
with the
right.
hardest
It was a
core.
big screen,
You got to
so
see
it
it with the
worked out.
hardest of the hardcore. I came second closest to the New York fans that were willing to wake up at 6 a.m. to get
Oh,
their tickets, and I sat like all the way off to the side. But it was just, I just wanted to see it with the audience. Like I just wanted,
sure.
like to be with the people.
The people.
The people. Yeah, jump in. Somebody tell me, like, what was your first reaction to seeing Avatar for the
uh,
first time since
I know
Sozin's
for me
Comet?
that it was crazy because I actually connected with like two of my old friends from the forum that I had done like some of the podcast stuff with, and I was like, look, we got to watch this together. I was like, I can't just watch this. It's like I can't watch this by myself because I'm going to be freaking out like by myself too much about
Yeah.
this. And it was, what a special experience to see these characters after so much time, and the insane level of like artistry and the backgrounds, the animation. It was just seeing Avatar in such an elevated level
Yes.
and was just unreal. It was so cool to see them push the limits for something that we've, are so like, familiar with and accustomed to. And I was blown away by it. I really loved the experience, and I thought it was such a great kind of like return to form, but also a great jumping off point for where they're clearly heading with a lot of the stuff they're hinting at and starting to like connect with already.
It's funny you say return to form because I just assumed before seeing any clips of the movie that they were going to do it like into the Spider-Verse style. Like it was going to be like a little more
Yeah.
3D with this sort of like hand-drawn stuff over it. The fact that it looked, like you said, like an elevated version of the TV show was such a delight. Like that was so
Mhm.
fantastic for me, just as a fan of 2D animation, to see that they kind of like, I mean, it felt like the upgrade. Like, as someone who's seen a lot of TV shows become movies, there's always that joke about like they added shadows and like there's more lighting effects than it ever had on the
Yeah.
TV show. But like they
There's lens
really,
flare.
yeah,
Hmm.
lots of lens flare. But they really pushed it. They elevated it like
Hmm.
across the board.
Hmm.
Tim, as an art, like as an illustrator, what did you think of the visuals?
It's I mind you, my experience is not in animation exactly, so I'm more like a comics guy, but like I would say when I watched it, I am a baby and this is my Miss Rachel movie. Okay. So it's I will say like in terms of visuals and animation, I really, really enjoyed it. It felt epic on a scale where I was just looking because like all the viz dev artists are posting like
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
vast
Yep.
scale of the work, like Aang standing in the the ruins of the Airbender temple, and then you can see just like how mountainous and huge the scope is for everything. I will say I understand they do love anime. They're big fans of Japanese anime. It felt like a Mamoru Hosoda movie or a Makoto Shinkai movie, like Your Name,
Yeah.
where you could see like the sparkle of the sunset as it hits like when the character's falling down from the sky, and then just a lot of like feelings rushing back into me. I do miss their noses. I do miss their non-anime noses, and because they're Asian ethnic nose, like I miss that. But I will
There
say
was a
I know
weird
why.
extra line. Like I noticed, I kept fixating on the fact that like on their
It's an
side,
anime stylistic thing,
there's that
yeah.
extra
And I
little
know,
line.
we're all weaves, we like anime here, but I do miss that. There are other things discourse things that I'll go into later, but generally It did feel like I was hugging my younger self who was just so excited about the show. And this is it on a bigger scale. And then you grow up with the characters. And then you see how the characters have grown up. And it's like, let me tell you, the Gen Z kids are making edits, what we used to call AMVs back in the day on Windows Movie Maker. They're making all the edits of like hot adult Zuko. Boy, let me know. Like it's just shirtless Zuko all around. But it's fun. It's fun. It was a fun movie. I had a fun ride. And it's my friend Bard says it's very yes and for anyone that likes to do D&D or Dungeons and Dragons, it's very yes and in that you can add things to it, like your own headcanons on where the world is now. So that's what I did like about it. I really enjoyed those aspects of the movie, what I was really excited about.
How was the fan reaction in the audience, Nadar? Like seeing it with people, like
I think that, oh my God, I think that Ballroom 20 was packed, first of all. I believe that a lot of people in there had a wide variety of a nostalgic experience, simply because yes, they did get to see Team Avatar in an older, version of themselves, and it was just nice to see. It was great to see another story. All right, if you all notice, the animation continuously changes. Book 1, episode 1 from the animation early days, they were on their way, and then book 2, the animation got better, and so on and so forth to Korra, to now the film, and then you got Seven Havens coming out in October
Right.
9th. But that movie, it was instilled with a lot of insane fighting scenes, and those scenes were long, and I try to pay attention to detail, so I saw how the background was drawn, the sky, the way the lighting and the sun was changing. When Avatar Aang was falling from the mountain with the character that he pulled out the ice, all of that, with all that animation and all those different bending styles, not just from Avatar Aang, but from when Toph was training with her future, metal bending police officers or whatever, that was her academy or the beginning of her academy. It was great to see all of that, and just brought back. And you see, I got the tall shirt on, and I represent the Earth Kingdom well. It was great to see all of it, and I thought that Mike and Brian, along with additional writers that created this masterpiece for us, you could tell that they worked hard. And yes, they should have put it in all the theaters. Excuse me. I heard it sold out in L.A. and New York. I believe it was only playing in L.A. and New York.
Yeah.
But I heard it sold out. I would have, excuse me, I would have continued to keep it in the theaters. That definitely should have been, to see it on that big screen at Ballroom 20 was, I was told it was supposed to be an IMAX as well. But the storyline was very strong. It gave me chills. Yeah, people in the audience was crying, especially like, all the top fans, and et cetera, the newer fans, the Gen X, Gen Z, all the fans, they really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good story, and I was blown away. There were scenes where I was blown away. Wow, here's another Airbender. Or wow, here's a staff with all this power. Like, who created the staff? Now I'm asking even more questions from when I first did it back in the first couple of weeks of me falling in love with the show in the beginning. So I thought it was a complete, strong story, and I hope they continue to do things like that. I mean, now as I'm watching it, I want to see a season of that, But I enjoyed it for what it was. I actually was in the middle of watching it again because it's Avatar and it's Aang and it's our little arrowhead all grown up. So 10 stars for Avatar Aang.
Kim, you made a great point that like the story does like allow for people to write their own episodes to like fill in lots of fan fiction and stuff into
fan art, fan comics.
So even if they never make another series of them like as adults, you almost don't need it, right? Like your imagination can kind of fill in the rest.
And I'm not sure where Aangthony went, but I'd love to hear his thoughts too. But it's in here, like, guys, I do nothing but make fan comics. But it's It's really interesting because I think the strongest aspect, like I'm, writing stuff, and I'm very, very, I'm going to be honest, like I'm very, very like all about the character driven storytelling, because like um what Avatar The Last Airbender's, the OG series, biggest strength was is that the characters evolve and change, and that there's more than one aspect to them. And I know multiple writers in the Avatar staff, the writers room, are all working together. And the writers changed when Korra came around. And Korra, I love her as a character. I was so hyped. I think I did stop watching after season 1, and people wanted me to watch it, but you got to give me a second, because it's just, I think it was more like other people that worked on it say that it was more it was more event driven than character driven. And I guess that was just not my thing, but I'm excited for what's to come. I really, really like the Avatar novels about the other avatars, like Avatar Yang Chen, Avatar Kiyoshi, especially. FCE is such a great novel writer and adds so much mature texture into the writing that it's possible for Avatar to have that expansion, or like dealing with things like Taga, the renegade, airbender that they sprung out of the ice, spoiler alert. And that, things about when Aang going through an unimaginable genocide of his people, how does he contain that rage which exists in him, and then contain it for the sake of the people that are already here? And he has a tough job. And I think the culture now, I think online, is that, before I yap too long, is that a lot of people will debate, well, like Korra is a better Avatar than Aang, and Roku should have done this. And it's like, no, they're all different characters. They're going to have flaws, and they do whatever is in their time period, which is suitable for the time. And because that's what, storytelling is. And so to compare 7 beautiful queens against each other, no, they all got their stories. But I think it's okay that people have their preferences for what makes a moving story. And so that aspect of the plot in the movie between Aang and Taga, and realizing violence isn't the answer. What is justified? How do you do it for the good of the people? And how Aang deals with his trauma and his grief. I think that was the strongest point in the movie, definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's a lot of things I could bounce off, but I will specifically say that I agree that the theme, I think that more than anything, the theme was there. And I think that was like, we can get it granular with the plot, and we'll save a little bit. We'll skip over. We'll get a little to the nitpicky section in a second. But I do think the themes were there, and I felt like they were consistent with the show, which is great. Like, that to me is like, the worst thing is like when you watch something that's made 10 years later and you're like, is this even made by the same people? Like, does this, the universe doesn't feel true to what we imagined? I feel like at the heart of it, it was like it
was made with love.
It was made with love and a respect for what had come before and artists after.
Indeed.
But Anthony, we missed you. We lost you. You got
sorry.
you got sucked into the spirit world there for a second. Sorry. What was your initial reaction to seeing the movie? Like, what were you thinking while you're watching it?
Yeah, animation, it was gorgeous, breathtaking, beautiful. Just like Dave, 2D animation is really important to me, and I was taken aback by it. I was so impressed. You could tell it was made with love. I love how we can go on our social medias now, and tons of people will post on their feed, oh, I was involved with the movie, like this is what I did. And it's so amazing to see all these human creations just working together, and it was so beautiful. So I'm very, very happy. Beautiful movie. And the spirit was there. I definitely know what Dave is saying. It's always going to be a high standard to meet what we have been used to for all those years. But I mean, the spirit was there, and like Kim said, it was made with love. So I'm really happy overall.
It's so true what you were saying about the people, because even when I was watching the movie, there's some of the scenes where the backgrounds, and it's like, oh, are those photos? Like, are they showing is that live action of these trees and this stuff? Right. And then literally the next day, things are coming up in my feed. It's like, hi, I painted the grass. And hi, I painted
the animals.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the like the amount of just like the pride that so many of these like artists who worked on the film who have been sharing all of this, it's just it's so amazing to see them being like, I did this little part of this, but like it's like I'm so in love with it, and it's just so cool to be like, oh, you're the one responsible for like, these like, like JoJo Bizarre Adventure like style Sokka, like, flashbacks and everything,
Right.
like, that art and all the different back. It was so cool it's been so cool to see all of the artists like share that, and seeing like the insane amount of work that they put into like to make this all come together.
And
Yeah,
they
and
also
to,
use an insane. They also use an insane amount of cash, as one can see. As
Mhm.
you all are saying, that all these
The budget.
people worked on the grass, they worked on the sky, they worked on the stars, they worked on the storms, and all of that. I was seeing that in Instagram. For a moment, I thought somebody was trying to hack me. I thought it was I'm being hacked, or I thought it was AI, because you never really see a vast full of people come forward and say, I worked on this, I worked on that, I worked on that. Everybody was pretty much, the dialogue was almost the same.
Yeah.
So I thought it was AI. Well, I thought I was being my files were being corrupted somehow on my phone.
So
yeah,
I have something to
And then
say about that.
Mike would like each one. It was like by Mike, yeah, I said
Yeah.
something's going on
yeah. And
on
what I'll
my
just say real
account.
quick is that, to the creators' credit, like Mike and Brian have always shown a light on the creative people behind the scenes on the
Mm-hmm.
show. Like I feel like right from the beginning, especially like people like Ki Huan Rio, who's
Clean
like
Rio.
who's the guy who designed the foaming the mouth guy and a lot of the character designs, especially like later in the series and stuff. Like they always were like, yep, this guy came up with that. Like, and she, and Lauren Montgomery came up with this, and this person did this. And so, like, the fact that it's, it is a team effort
Yeah.
is not something that they've shied away from. So it is nice to see so many people getting to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's
And
also
and
so nice to have like creators of a show and a thing that you're proud of not be problematic 20 years later, because it's just like so nice. It's like, yes, Mike and Brian are still like championing like so many great causes. They've stuck like to their values and everything. And it feels so good to be able to like, support them still like after all of these years with that.
and I think also as more concerns about AI start coming up, especially with that, I'm going to bring it up, that little description that people were very understandably like upset about. They
Mhm.
are very anti-AI. I think that was just somebody on the art book who just slipped that in there, and they were concerned like, hey, this is kind of racist, and ChatGPT tends to do that. But I know that Mike and Brian, you can't control everything. You can't control everything. They're only human. They're just regular dudes. And, it requires an amount of sensitivity. And I think, as conversations go forward, there will be more conversations about like, they're changing the script to like a fictional script. And as much as like, we don't want to cram all the different cultures that were inspiring Avatar. Like, there's Japanese, there's pre-colonial Philippines, there's Thai, and then there's Inuit people and Native American Turtle Island cultures that were there, or Yupik. And those are one of the things that helped me research about all these different cultures. Like, I know it's just Avatar, but it inspired to branch out to watching C dramas and J dramas and K dramas and a lot of ancient Chinese philosophy and martial arts is influenced in the show. So I think as conversations move forward, I think I would like Mike and Brian to understand that there's no need, and to be careful of xenophobia. There's no need to strip away like the Chinese script, because that did also mean a lot. A lot of us who were watching like the race bent, whitewashed, movie of like from the 2000s. And so I think there's a way to integrate all of that together. Like, I like the language, it's really, really cool. And I know we don't want it to just be like one Asian culture. I understand that. But it helps us to become uncomfortable and learn to have these conversations more. And even when you don't understand something, like Nadar said, you ask questions and then you understand, and then you're willing to have these conversations. And even when your heart rate is going up, like you're able to, like Aang, create a medium between all people and have the conversations rather than jumping to conclusions. And I think that's what's healthy about this. And just to talk to an Asian guy, help consult culturally with these things. And so going forward, I hope that they do more of that. I know that they're, like Collin said, they're on the right side of like, representation. The voice actors in this movie, Jessica Matten is a First Nations Indigenous person, and so is Sokka. And they tried to capture like, Mae Whitman and Jack DeSena's, liveliness. And I thought that was really cool. I really was a fan of the two of them doing voices for this. I do miss me some Dante Bosco. Rufio, I do miss me some Dante Bosco. Shout out to Dante Bosco. And I do miss him, but I do like Jessica Matten's the empathy that she put into adult Katara. So I really like that they casted Indigenous people for Indigenous coded characters. And I really thought that was really cool.
Yeah, how did other people feel about that? I know before I saw the movie, I feel like that was the only complaint I was seeing, is that people were upset about the voice actors not being, the original actors and stuff.
Yeah, it's.
I was just curious what other people thought.
Well, some people.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I can honestly say, excuse me. I can honestly say, some people that I spoke with through the podcast or on social media were saying that a lot of people wanted to see the original voice actors come back. Let's see. Michaela Murphy, the voice of Toph, and she still sounds like Toph from when Toph was young. Dante Bosco has moved on to other projects. And it's a common thing for you to cast a bunch of new people to play, newer parts. You want to see new faces, you want to hear new voices. But for the audience, we want to know, is this what Katara is going to sound like? Is this the voice of Aang, from the 12-year-old growing into his manhood? So I personally think they did a good job casting who they cast. And I think they were culturally correct in casting. This cast was an amazing cast. So I really enjoyed that aspect of this film.
Yeah,
and then
it didn't take me out of it at all. Like I mean, I appreciate the cultural sensitivity with the recasting, but as like it's a cartoon, so like you do start to wonder, like, will it take me out of the experience? And it didn't. I thought everybody did a really good job.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I wasn't thinking about it at all when I watched the movie. I was just I accepted everybody as the characters.
Right.
Especially Sokka. Like the guy who played Sokka was excellent. Like,
Let me look him up right now. Sokka voice.
Zaragoza, I think, is the last name.
He did an extraordinary job.
The way that he got like the squeaky high pitch, and then just tumbled down pitch work for Sokka's character voice was insane. I remember I was watching it second time last night with my wife, and she was like, wait, that's not the original voice actor. Just hearing even parts of that was it was so similar. But I love that the different interpretations for especially Aang and Katara, those felt very different from what we at least we're so accustomed to with everything. And the visual style was so different from what we had seen before. I felt like it made it easier to kind of okay, they're older. Yeah. This is a different thing. These are different voices, but the core of their delivery and the tone behind it is still, reminiscent of these characters and what they have always kind of stood for and everything.
Yeah, it's a good point, because I had a friend who was really arguing for Dante Bosco at least to just do Zuko, to keep being just have Don, because it's well, he's Asian, he could still do Zuko. And I'm like, yeah, but if you just have one person from the original cast and everybody else is different,
everyone's gonna feel left out, and
it's gonna make everybody feel bad, and it's gonna stand out, and it's either recast everybody or
right.
It's Roman Zarazoga. He's the Indigenous person and of Mexican descent, and he did a great job. I know he's in Ghosts, and he plays another Indigenous character there, and he's just so funny. I will also say the Sokka scenes with the pose, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure illustration style. I could tell, these guys know their anime. It was so funny. It captured I do it I think this is for future movie things. I would like to see the serious side of Sokka too, because they captured how silly Sokka is and how he wants, he's the non-bender trump card in the team. that, you know, catches everyone by surprise. And so I really like Roman Zaragoza's performance in that too. So that was he was great.
Yeah, and I think it was Dion Kwan is her name. When I worked
Dion
with
Kwan,
her,
she's also blind. She's also
yeah,
hard of seeing.
yeah,
So
I worked with her. I
it's
didn't work with her, but
yeah.
we interviewed her when
Yeah.
she was the voice of Kimmy on
Yeah.
Rugrats in
Oh,
Paris.
cool. Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, so
She's
she's got
Vietnamese, and I thought that's so cool. Yeah, Vietnam represent. So
Mhm.
I think that's neat.
Mm.
But yeah,
So okay, so
fond
you
memories.
mentioned the Sokka part being that was definitely one of my like favorite scenes, of course. I think everybody is gonna love that scene, of course. My other I'm gonna ask everybody what their favorite scene is. I was gonna say that what I should say my favorite thing about the movie was that they actually took characters that first originated in the comics, not the comics I worked on, but from the comics. Gary Hiru illustrated storylines about Toph's metal bending academy,
Yes,
and her
yes.
students were in the comics, and then they
I
were
saw them.
in
Yeah,
the movie. And I'm, as a comic book editor, of course, I'm like, oh my god, that
the
makes
dark
my heart
one.
swell
Yes.
that somebody can come up with something in the comics and then it can like graduate into the actual official like A
Yeah.
tier canon. Um, but truthfully, the thing that made me laugh the most in the movie was Ronnie Chang. He's a comedian from The Daily Show.
Yes, he
He
Yes.
was
played the messenger for the Fire Lord.
the
There's like
awkward guy who was delivering the message. That was fun.
Yeah,
that cracked me
the
up.
look on his facial expression was just very memorable. And I was wondering, why is he making that face? But that's how y'all know how Aang is. He still could be that goofy little 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so and he probably knew that he was in the presence of a lot of people. That's probably why he wrote that letter like that. But yes, that was definitely a memorable moment for me. And you know what, Dave, you was asking about everyone's favorite scenes. I truly can't really pinpoint one because I had a lot. Like it was so many good parts to this movie. And you could tell that each and every one that was a part of this cast and the people that worked in the background, they poured their heart and soul into this thing, man. So it's really hard for me to choose just one.
Yeah.
It
Hey,
truly is.
Well, is there
this
something
I
we
mean,
haven't mentioned yet that maybe just something we
Anthony,
haven't reflected on? Oh yeah, or Anthony, you tell us, and then
I was just
we'll
gonna say
come
this
back.
reminds me many years ago, because I've always loved Kim's art. Many years ago, Kim described one of her pieces and she said something like along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, but she said, "Oh, it's so hard to pick a favorite. It's like you're holding a basket of kittens, and how do you pick just one?"
I hate that line. I hate that line so much. I'm so
Oh,
sorry. I was cringe.
but it's so true though. Like I really can't
Thank you,
pinpoint
though.
one specific moment from the movie that like just because it was just so enjoyable, and
It's all
so
precious. Yeah.
it's all precious, and it's I just I already rewatched it once. I'm gonna definitely watch it again and just appreciate it more and more as I like focus in on like the things I already missed since there's so much to see. So
Mhm. I didn't have like a singular moment, but I think the sequence that just especially rewatching it again that I was just so blown away by was starting from Aang and Taga airbending together. And that
Yes.
like the connection that they have there, the starting with there and then the entire airship sequence and Katara just parting the seas with like so and the whole team working together like from that moment of Aang and Taga bending to like them getting through to the islands was just it was great action, it was great character moments, and it was just such incredible bending because I was reading some stuff online too, some like Tai Chi practitioners who were saying that like the two moves that Katara specifically did in that moment are these like very I don't have it written down. I saved like the post somewhere, but those two specific moves, even though it seems like it's earthbending, are very much rooted in these like particular Tai Chi forms. And just seeing like again them still pulling from that and reminding of like the martial arts connection to bending and how that expression made it such a unique show and was such
Yeah.
a connecting point for so many people, and then continuing that into the film was just so special. And then just the animation of them doing all of that was just like, it was next level. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm. And before I, torture everyone with my chronic yapper disease, I think one of the scenes that, because I want to hear from Nadar and Collin and Aangthony more too, but like the scene that really like pricked up the tears in my eye is baby Aang. Well, he's not baby, but he's like 12-year-old Aang having adult Aang having nightmares about his 12-year-old self and his trauma. And he's a goofy kid, but he's suppressing through the series. He suppresses how heavy it is that all his people were killed, right? Not just that, but the culture is being wiped out. And he's trying to recover scraps and bits of this in the old ruined temples. And he's trying to desperately find that connection to home. And it doesn't exist anymore. If there are airbenders, they've suppressed it too. And that was just very heavy in that he's, baby Aang's voice, like, sinking into the ocean, and that there was nothing he could do about it as this just happens without him taking place. That was the emotional resonance that they knew they had to put in the movie. And that in his rage, when he goes like Dragon Ball Z into like Taga turning into like Ganondorf or something, he's reckoning with his rage, and that he has to forgive himself. And I think those scenes were just like, yes, that there. Give me like injected into my veins right now. So that was really good.
Yeah, and I think that combined with the setup, I can't remember if it's in that or in the opening scene where you see Gyatso and he basically plays Clark Kent's dad's role of basically saying to young Clark Kent, it's like, I know, like I'm talking the 1977 Superman, by the way, because that's my generation. There's a great scene in the original 1977 Superman that actually is quite powerful, where Superman's dad is like, I know you could throw that football faster than anybody. I know you can outrun anybody, but sometimes you don't. Like sometimes the point is you hold back. And that's power, is holding back. And for me, like that's like such a beautiful through line for this whole film that like ties into the end, that like that Aang does have that rage. Aang, like, so that's what's going to help him, stop from becoming like this other guy, like, right, like this guy basically is showing us what it looks like if Aang went in a different direction.
It basically shows like, you've been hurt, but are you going to hurt more people? You've been hurt, but are you going to traumatize a new generation of people that had nothing to do with this? And I think that is important. Like I joke that, Hama from, the puppet master from the original series, like she did nothing wrong. And I think it was more so that I find her interesting as a villain, and that what she chose to do, which was not smart, if you wanted to take down the Fire Nation, compared to like what Katara chooses to do, is that I choose not to hurt innocence, right? And it sends a clear message, ... about, people in power and what they choose to do with that power. Do you abuse it? Do you use it to hurt other people, or are you there to help? Right. So so thank you for that in the movie.
Yeah, and you see that like when Aang has the staff, like, right, like it's like he starts to get corrupted very quickly. Like it's like he could quickly go down this road. And I feel like that was the argument. Like I saw a bunch of people saying like, well, why doesn't Katara bloodbend at any point in this? Like there's so many opportunities where she could just bloodbend.
She doesn't want to.
And it's like, no, because once you start going down that road, you can't undo it. Like that's the whole thing, is like that's the theme that I talked about. Like, why Avatar is like such a great show is because it's not that it's like wholesome, it's that it's the spiritual,
there's a balance of that
theme of balance and like restraint and meditation and all that stuff is like, it's useful and applicable to the real world.
I mean, there was a specific line in the movie where Katara says, "I know what kind of airbender Aang is, but what kind of airbender are you? Are you?" And so, like, it's like just what Kim was saying. Like, it really, what you choose to do with the power does make a difference, and it matters. And so, I feel like that movie really did a good job of, the message was clear. It was great. So.
And Taga was such an interesting I think as much as like you can like have like critiques and stuff of like I think some of the ways that they approach the story and the way that
The
like
pacing, yeah.
and the pacing and everything, but
Yeah.
Taga as a villain was really interesting because he truly felt like this like crazy hybrid of so many classic Avatar and Korra villains. I mean, the like the fake out that we saw with Jet, the connection of like the past that we saw with Hama, the zealotry that we saw with Zahir, and with Unalaq, and the pride that we saw with Kuvira. There's so many like parts of him as a villain that I think it was fascinating to see them kind of like condense into this character, but resonated with both the future going into Korra and the past from what we saw with Avatar too. It was really interesting and like fascinating to see how they plugged him into the story.
I will say, and I do want to hear what Nadar has to say about this too, is that I do think Avatar has to be careful in storylines that involve like oppression and justified, rage against oppression. Like, yes, like, you can't hurt somebody that hurt you back, but it doesn't mean that your anger is invalid, right? And so a lot of like oppressed people now, young people especially that grew up watching, because Avatar was also aired in Latin America. It was aired in the Middle East. And so a lot of people grow up and they identify, with Aang and what happened to his people, or with Katara's people. And so it's not to say that oppressed people's, anger is not justified. And I think there needs to be a certain level of being careful about, what if the oppressed people were evil? And it's like, well, it's not that simple. And I think Avatar has the capacity for that kind of, growth and storytelling too. And I'm looking forward to that when it happens, or if it happens. So I'm like, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Together.
After these messages, we'll be
After these
back.
cereal commercial.
Talked to you in a while. Been like, have you seen the movie? I'm like, yes,
Right.
it's so good.
we on the same frequency for real. Like it's as the kids would say. And it's not just that, but it's also brings people together who are like-minded in that they grew up watching Ghibli movies. Like Mike and Brian, when they saw Princess Mononoke for the first time, they were jumping up and down like they had just eaten all the sugar, and that's what they said. And that inspired them to make Avatar. And in fact, I could see some telltale like influences in there from
100%. 100%.
yeah.
I mean, they've wanted to make, I think from the from the first episode of the show, you could tell what they wanted to do, right? They were always like, this is what we have, this is the budget we have, but this is, but if we could, because they were always pushing every season, like I think it was Nadar said, like every season, you could tell that they put more into it. They pushed it, they pushed it. And this is the logical extension of that, to finally have the money and the budget and the time to basically try to see, like, could an American studio, well, American plus Korean and other collaborators, can we make our own Ghibli movie? And,
Ghibli series.
Yeah, they came close. They came pretty close. The end credits, I think, was the big giveaway, because it had a very Kiki's Delivery Service ending with the end credits showing like them like this, after the movie ends, like here's some fun things that they did.
Some fun things, yeah.
Definitely.
And I know that Miyazaki himself, he was like a depressed college student, didn't have any drive to do anything. And then he saw, I think, a 1950s animated film called The White Snake, which was, I think, also like, I'm not sure if it was like Chinese or Japanese produced, but it was like a Journey to the West type of anime. And he was so inspired that he wept that night that he saw it. And that's what inspired him to continue making his films. And he went on to animate and storyboard for Heidi and for the Anne of Green Gables 70s, which are also my comfort shows. And I think, it has the Eastern philosophies in it and the aesthetics to some extent. And I'm glad there are also Asian staff and, indigenous, like diverse group of people working on Avatar 2. But it also has that American Western humor in there. Like sometimes there's bits of irreverence. It was the 2000s. You could tell that some things were from the 2000s, but it aged really well.
Mm-hmm.
Avatar, the series, aged very well. And so the movie kind of extends upon that. And Ki Kwan being in it, I thought that was really cool too.
What a great character. That was really great. I love that they kept so many of the very just fun, sillier expressions too, that that they were so directly inspired by Fooly Cooley with even just the moments of Zuko kind of just that resigned frustration at the end of his scene, and Taga calling Katara water child, and that just water child.
The take way me serious.
Yeah, I mean, it was very cool that they didn't take themselves too seriously with this, even though it was so elevated and they did so much that was so polished. They didn't forget their roots and didn't forget the so much of that style that it's part of the DNA of the show too.
And it's something that's really hard to replicate. That's when you see other people try to do it and not pull it off, it's so hard. Those extreme pivots between the serious to the comedic, I think that's one of the things that I agree, that's what's kept Avatar growing for people and connects with so many different people, because it's got it both. They're not, it's not ever too, it is serious though, but it's also really funny.
There's moments of levity. I think my friend Bard, and I would love to have him on, if you want him to have him on a future episode, he mentioned that, the comedic element or the comic relief provides the pressure release valve for when it's getting too serious in here, there's people dying. And there's a tone and a time and place for it, but when it's properly placed, it's man, they know what they're doing. And so I always look for that whenever I'm watching Avatar, or when I was watching this movie too. So that's really important to me as well.
I think that everybody that's ever fell in love with the show or followed the show, they have their own, everyone has their own journey. I have my own journey, you have your own journey, and so on and so forth. Met a young lady who wanted to commit suicide, and she stated by watching this series, it changed her life. And I met her in San Diego Comic-Con. You meet so many wonderful people. You meet lifelong friends. I'm still friends with Eric and Dave. You've met Eric on the show, and I still talk to Avatar Mom. I think that the pieces in this puzzle, when I say puzzle, I'm referring to the seasons, the series of Avatar: The Last Airbender. From that point to Korra, to the film, to the new movie coming out, I think that it shares a piece of your life, the things that we all go through, because I don't have a perfect life. And you find things in the show you don't find, and actually just shoots out to you, and you hold on to that, and it's something that's near and dear, something that's being ousted from the show, and you just love it, and it makes you look at your inner self, and makes you look in the mirror, and you have a moment of reflection on your life. And I'm just I'm just talking about the ingredients. I'm talking about the journey, whether it be bending in other parts of the nation, learning bending, or Sokka's with the space sword. And for Aang to, you all was discussing, for Aang to lose all of his people, I don't think anybody realistically could ever recover from something like that. So yeah, I get why he was frustrated. I get why he was angry, and I get why he wasn't really open-minded in those moments. He wasn't trying to hear what his nearest and his dearest friends were trying to say, because he's still in pain. We all saw him wake up from the nightmares from the movie. So I don't think, everybody heals in time, but then you got those that don't. And maybe Aang is one of those people that will never, heal. We only hope, or whatever the writers come up with. But, I know people like that in real life. And a lot of people that I've met in my time, they've watched the show, and this part reminds me, they would share with me this story, and they'd be in tears, or maybe a grand that they lost, or a friend like Jet that got lost in the battle of a battlefield. So everybody, I think everybody just pulls, whether it's cultural connections or just the passion of life. And that's what that's what these stories are to me. I pull from different things, or things reach out to me, and I have my moments of reflection, and it makes me a better person, because you can ultimately change your lifestyle by watching the show. It means so much. So I love the passion, I love the deepness, I love the culture, I love the learning tools that's embedded in this story, and that's probably why I still watch it, and I'm still committed, and I still go to these conventions, and when I see the cosplayers, I think about moments from the show, because everybody's posing from a moment or a scene clip or what have you from the show. And because it's so deep and it's so passionate, I continue to carry on. And when I go to this Comic-Con, it's always all Avatar, not Marvel, not DC, not Gumby or anything.
Dude, Gumby, you gotta get on the Gumby train, man.
I am Gumby, damn it!
Gumby.
The Gumby
Because
fandom.
I met the guy, the son of the father that created Gumby, and he had a panel, and all these other panels. Everything else falls to the wayside. I'll put all this stuff on my schedule that I'm going to go to, but if I
Number
find
one
out
priority,
Avatar stuff if I find out other Avatar stuff is happening, I'm going to that. And we never really forget why we love the show. We just keep going because we do love the show.
But it hits different. I mean, like fandom is a powerful thing across the board, and I'm sure all of us have other fandoms that we feel somewhat connected to. But I do think, and it's impossible for me to say this without the bias that I have, that there is something extra special about the Avatar universe. And, in a lot of ways, obviously, whatever Mike and Brian created has, now it belongs to the world, and people have engaged with it however they want to engage with it. And like Nadar was saying, it's like all these years later, I think it's still really powerful for a lot of people in a way that a lot of other shows and fandoms just don't. And I experienced that in real time when I worked at Nickelodeon, because I would hear from people that were all the time like, wow, this Avatar show is something different. Like, wow, I watched
something special.
I never heard someone talk about Fairly Odd Parents the way that they talk about Avatar. It's like my kids and I watch it together and we learn. And then after we have deep conversations about philosophy, and we learned, now we're learning about different cultures. And now my son wants to go to Nepal because he watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. You didn't have that with Cat Scratch or Angry Beavers.
The Angry Beavers. People do like them some Hey Arnold. They do like their Hey Arnolds now. But...
And Invader Zim has a whole other kind of fan base.
And
but like you're saying, I think the personal, I think Avatar grows with you. And I think that there's so many applicable things in its messaging and in its storylines and in its characters that I think that's why it's not going to go anywhere. I think it's going to, no matter how many times people who are responsible for distribution and or drop the ball, the work speaks for itself, and the work continues, and the story manages to live on, thankfully, because here we are. We didn't know we would be here. I feel like Nadar, you wrapped it up beautifully. I think we could go on and we'll do a separate episode where we can talk about more plot details and what could be better and all that kind of stuff. But I think let's end it on a positive note, because I thought that was a beautiful way to sort of wrap it all around, because that's what brought us here.
And I said all the nitpicks I need to say for now anyway, so y'all don't need to hear that. But
I really just want to talk about how this movie parallels to the Digimon movie, because there's a lot of parallels to the Digimon movie.
Listen, I don't have a whistle to wake you, but I want you to know you're not alone. Okay? And the mail keeps coming. It won't stop. Kids from all over the world are writing to you. They need your help. You're the only one who can do it. Feel their hope. Feel their strength.
I feel them.
There is an animator who works on Digimon who worked on Avatar, and she's great.
That
Wow.
Barley's great.
That
Yeah.
explains it.
Yeah.
Barley, oh,
Barley, I love you.
love
Like
Barley.
she's amazing. She worked so hard. She did her animation was gorgeous in this film, and she put her whole ass and her whole heart into this. And now she's working on Digimon. So
That's awesome. Love it.
ask
I wonder
not
what
what
them Avatar's
Avatar
up to.
can do for you.
Guys, thank you so much for rising to the call to hang out. I know it wouldn't take much because we love it. We love it so much. This is
I
great.
respect the troops.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you,
exactly.
Dave,
Rang.
for inviting us too, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Inviting us.
For putting this
If
together.
you want more of this, like I said, there's another episode where we talked about the Netflix series. And Nadar has his own podcast that you can check out. Can you remind everybody where they can find that on YouTube?
Yes, you can find us on Avatar Origins, Tales from the Fan Base. You will see like a Lotus piece for our profile picture, and we're mostly on Instagram and YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, and we talk about, we try, and we have lives. I'm married, I have children. All of us are doing things in our families, so we get to the podcast when we can. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, or sometimes
Same,
a month.
Mhm.
Avatar
Yep.
Origins, Tales from the Fan Base.
Tales from the fan base.
Mm.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. See you soon. Yip, yip.
Yep, yep.
Flamio Hotman.
Flamio.